Welcome to the Blessed to Teach show. This is Rick, your host. For the next hour, we're going to dig into a ton of information around no-name potential things happening to RGB, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Could that be happening, really? If what happened to No Name actually happened to her, like No Name, interesting stuff. And also, Neon Revolt has an awesome post. Neon Revolt Decode we'll get through. Tons of QAnon news, as well as getting into some more prophecy discussion, prayer, and getting into this in the Blessed Teach show. Hey, Terry and George and Freed, look good to see you guys. George die already. They got Texas and Houston and Tulsa and UK. Thank you, Timmy from UK, and also from Morrison, Colorado and Virginia. I really appreciate you guys coming on here. Minnesota, got Alberta, Pennsylvania, New Zealand. All right, good job, guys. Really appreciate you joining me here. We've got an exciting show here to talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg maybe being no-named. Could that really be happening? And also, Neon Revolt did one of the best decodes I've seen. I'm so excited to see him in his full force back, and then really get into a ton of news around the QAnon related news and a Blessed to Teach show here on November 8th. So let's get rolling on it. And tell you what, first of all, I want to talk to you guys about your security. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff going on. I think you know it's kind of scary if you look at actual Apple and Facebook and what they're doing. It's kind of crazy. I got an iPad that's out of battery, so this is going to be a little bit of a pain here as I get there. There we go. So, but they literally were stealing people's data, right, in their VPN, and they are starting to do trust scores now. Facebook has trust scores, and also Apple is going to have a device trust score, just like China does. So, I'm telling you what, this could be pretty ugly stuff as they start really clamping down all this stuff. And one of the best way to protect yourself is not to give people your IP address. Right? Your IP address is just like a telephone number for your router. It basically identifies you. So if I actually take this right here, and I think I've showed you guys this before, my IP address actually has a 187 in it, right? So you can see 47187. That's part of my IP address. Now, but once I go to Virtual Shield, and this is one of the easiest ways to protect yourself is just to get a really good VPN that's fast and easy to use and doesn't keep logs. That's the three things that are why I've got this one. All I do is I come up here and go connect. Boom, it connects, and then it changes my IP address. And so I did this online for you guys several times, and it would actually interrupt the video feed. And so one time it cut the video in twice. But you can see the new IP address after I logged in is 104.238. There's no 187 in it anymore. So that's how easy it is. All you literally do is you pick I picked in my Dallas area here, right? You can go pick it from different cities, and it doesn't matter. You can be in other areas. Roger Sloan, good to see you from some SC again, South Carolina. Good to see you. So here we are digging into how you would actually hide your IP address, encrypt your data, and protect yourself from a lot of these trust scores and letting you able to see everywhere you go on the internet. Because anybody that uses Wi-Fi, all your web traffic would be shown to anybody that can get that IP address. So that's why I use Virtual Shield. And right now you can get a sick discount for Black Friday. They are giving $2.99 a month if you do a 2-year deal, and 40% off all the add-ons, right? So they have another thing that's really cool that'll turn off your microphone and make sure that blocks your microphone and your speakers as well, with this called IdentiSafe. Block your webcam, microphone, securely delete files, etc. in IdentiSafe. So several other products that'll help you keep safe. You're going to go to virtualshield.com/blessed. That'll give you the little Blessed Black Friday 40 code you need, right? It'll automatically do that for you. You don't need to remember that. My background's going to be a pain because I'm having to use my wife's iPad. It's not working real well. So I'm going to try to see if I can get this working. I just might have to ignore it after a while. But anyway, let's get into the Neon Revolt thing here. 2460, you see, I'll refresh here just in case Q posted, but I don't think he's posted yet today. But he had a ton the last couple days, and Neon Revolt did an awesome job digging into this. And so I'm going to go through this. This will take a while because he really did a thorough job. I'm not going to go over every single post because we went over them yesterday. So if you really want to look at all the posts, most of this is what I did yesterday. Volume is too high. Let me adjust that just real quick because I did do adjustments to make sure, because people were telling me they could not hear me the last couple of times. I'm hoping this is going to work. If I just take this down, I'm going to take it down to 70. And I'll try to stay away from my microphone. Tell me if that's a little bit better. And I'm going to take it away there. Is that better? Dream with me saying it's better. All right, so here we go. I'm still adjusting this. I found the thing that made it so low over the last couple of weeks. Finally got that corrected on the laptop. So now at least I got the power back, right? So I'll be a little careful of getting too close to the microphone. Here we go. Neon Revolt, say hello to Mr. Clean. Nothing will stop what is coming from C deciding C. New Q, QAnon, Great Awakening, Neon Revolt. Here we go. Handoff confirmed. Look how big this guy is compared to Sessions. He's a bodybuilder. He's like a strong guy. I wish the shills would make up their mind one day. I'm either Pied Piper leading people away from Q. The very next, I'm Pied Piper leading them towards that silly LARP known as Q. And of course, they've got to tell you at me for selling hats and shirts. They got to yell at me for selling hats and shirts too. Can't leave that out. And so here goes this is the post that I was just really impressed with. I read through this whole thing, and it took me like 45 minutes, but it was well worth it. So I'm not going to go over all the details that I went through with you guys, but I think you'll find it really valuable as we go through this. This iPad's not going to work real well, I can tell. So anyway, here we go. And of course, but it's amazing how quickly they changed their tune. No, why? It's almost like there's no consistency at all from day to day to the next. See, that's what the shills do. They don't care about their post resembling anything close to reality. No, what they want to do is push you in a certain direction and cause you to react. Let me repeat that. Their goal isn't pursuing the truth. They don't want to engage a friendly debate. They want to knock you out of the race no matter what they say. And they'll say anything or do anything to try to accomplish that goal. Truth isn't even on their radar, making you mad, sad, discouraged, confused, disgruntled. That's their goal. So there's a lot of shills if you go to vote.co, and so just ignore them is what we want to do, right? Now I'll be the first to admit that I was less than pleased with the House results after last night's midterm elections. I truly wanted a red storm to rain down fire and chaos upon the Democrats and the deep operatives. The deep state operatives, obviously. Wow. Sorry, guys, I'm getting distracted. Here we go. Many people were left feeling delusioned in the wake of the loss of the House of Democrats. But I think it's time for some reflection and a good gut check. And I think we can start to do that by asking ourselves some questions. Question 1, is QAnon really real? I suppose how you personally answer that question depends on how long you've been around the movement. If you're just joining us, you probably haven't seen all the proofs many of us who have been here since the beginning have seen. For me, I see enough evidence to continue to believe that yes, Q is real. And I would completely agree with him there. Now, doubtless, some of my critics will voice their disdain for a number of proofs. Geez, this is just not going to work. So I'll do this here. Beyond that, taken just by themselves, any one proof can be dismissed as mere happenstance, a wonderful coincidence exploded by an ambitious LARPer. No, for me, it's the preponderance of proofs that helps build the case that Q is real. It's not any one big mega proof. It's the thousands of little proofs we've seen along the way. And it really is. I think it's getting close to thousands now after if you go to qproofs.com and just really look at this. There was 2 just yesterday as an example. Take just a few days ago when Trump pointed at a Q sign, 3 separate at one of his rallies. And I think you guys saw this. Here's the Q sign right here, the big yellow Q. You'll see him do a double point over right to the yellow Q. There he goes, boom, boom, double point right there. Now, that instance taken by itself, isolated, is easily dismissed. It could be mere coincidence, mere happenstance. He was just taking cues for the energy of the crowd. Heck, it could even be something sinister like Trump fomenting the radical part of his base and empty-headed, know-nothing non-thinkers like Rat-tailed Travis might like to say, tune out. They would warn you. This is all just nonsense, except then you would have to ignore how he made an air cue that day as well. So the same day, you'll see he's going to do a circle right there, cross. There he goes, right there. Happens at the very beginning of this video. Watch him. Circle, cross. That's what he did with the cue. And you would have to also ignore the times that he's done this sort of thing before. Here's the little...
They will do anything to obstruct anything.
It's not showing it. Unfortunately, that video didn't show. See if I'll play it one more time, see if it was going to render for me. Nope, not going to render for me. So, but that was another time that he actually went like this and down. It looks like a cue. Or the time that he said, cue, just watch, and have the cards they don't. So now here's at the very end of this.
Gotta say this.
The very end, listen.
Our American farmers are great patriots. They're incredible people because they know what I'm doing is right. China pinpointed them because they think that if they hurt the farmer, they're hurting me. And they know how much I love the farmers of this country. But we're going to win, and we're going to win big.
Right here.
You just watch. We have the cards.
You just watch. So there's so many of those type of things. See, any of these things could be easily dismissed on its own, but together they form a preponderance of evidence that can't be dismissed as easily. In fact, you would be foolish to simply dismiss it and not take a very hard, very long, very thorough look at everything being presented every day. Take, for instance, VIP Anon's photos, which he got a little while ago. So here he was in his Q shirt, and then he got dressed and took a picture with Trump, and this guy's been in part of the Anon movement for a long time. The return of VIP Anon and Q confirmation, and you can go read about it in more detail if you click right here. But to fabricate this, and when he got it back, you will actually see that that Trump actually signed this Q plus with brackets around it 3 times, right? And to fabricate this, Q would have to not only get this guy in on the deal, but he'd have to work out how to get him photographed on the convention floor wearing a Q shirt, then pass through Secret Service screening, get him a change of clothes, get him photographed with the president, and finally copy POTUS handwriting style exactly to make the plus and the brackets on the back. At a certain point, it's actually more ridiculous not to believe in Q. At a certain point, the scales tip. And then, not to mention QProofs.com. I just had to tell everybody to go to QProofs.com, and there's hundreds of them there, right? And with each new proof, the case for Q is strengthened. Lucky for us, there are a lot of proofs at our disposal now, with more coming out every day. For instance, on this site, you can search using the Q confirmation hashtag and find a bunch of items I've marked over the months reflecting the reality of Q. So just go hashtag Q confirmation on his site, and you'll see a lot more of those as well. Here is, on top of that, there's an entire site that's a ton of proofs loaded up an easy-to-use interface available here. And this is the qproofs.com site, right? And you can click on it here as well if you're on neonrevolt.com. Question 2, can we trust Q? Can we trust the plan? If Q is real, there's really only 2 explanations for his existence. That is, the existence of this Q operation. Trump is lying and using Q as a psyop to justify imprisoning and executing his political enemies. Q is telling you the truth about the satanic cabal that runs the world, which Trump and his patriots are working to uproot around the world. So those are kind of the 2 choices. Trump's lying or Trump's telling the truth, right? If we accept that Q is real, those are the only 2 options we have for explaining his existence. There's not much room for any other option here. And given everything we've seen with Hillary's 2016 campaign and her long history of Arkansas and the Podesta leaks and the ferocious nonstop slander of Q by the legacy media, Occam's razor folks, That's just that's just basically saying, hey, what's most obvious? They wouldn't be fighting Q this hard if it didn't represent a threat to their power. Look, we all know who the bad actors in this really are. We know the woman Bill Clinton has raped. We know the men Hillary has had killed. We know of their trips down to Epstein Island. We know of the uranium sold to Russia. We know of the Obama's activities in Pakistan. And we know how much more. None of this is conspiracy territory, by the way. If these were regular people like you or I, they would have been locked in jails dozens of times already. Instead, we've watched them perpetrate crime and get away with it because they have a complicit system of support erected around them in the courts and the media and offers of power around the country. Thank you, Praying Line. Really do appreciate it, brother. And then you say, hey, sorry, gonna have to go with door number 2 on this, right? Because is Trump lying or is he telling the truth? Well, he's telling the truth. That is door number 2 for sure, right? And Neon Revolt is right on board with me here for sure, right? There's a bunch of evil people in power, and now Trump is using the operation planned by the military to take them down. And with this being a military operation, military comes planning, and not just on a tactical scale, but on a scale so far beyond what the average citizen is aware even exists. When you combine military-grade surveillance and espionage with prediction software, algorithms, think Palantir, but on steroids, you've got a recipe for something truly spectacular. Make no mistake, all roads here lead to utter ruination of the cabal. Every single choice has been accounted for. When we talk about game theory, we're talking about applying a level of military strategy to achieve a desired outcome, regardless of what choices the cabal members make along the way. In other words, if Hillary wakes up one day and finds that she's got a warrant out for arrest, it doesn't matter if she stays in one place, flees the country, or hunkers down in a panic room somewhere. There's literally no option that hasn't been accounted for. That's military strategy, right? Thank you, another Texas deplorable. Appreciate it. When Obama wakes up in the morning, it doesn't matter what he ate for breakfast, toast or eggs. He's still going to be running his pants when the feds come calling. This week, it didn't matter if we took the House or not. See, that's the important point here. We had plans for both. Hopefully we got the House, but I think they knew quite a while ago they weren't going to get the House. That's why Grassley resigned and Trey Gowdy resigned as well, right? I know that may be hard for some folks to wrap their minds around, but I can't blame them. I'll say this much. It would have been great if we had won the House. It probably would have made things easier. However, we didn't need it. Option B was to control the Senate and the governors. We'll get to that tidbit shortly. And believe it or not, had we lost both chambers, Q had a plan for that scenario too. It might have been as desirable, but the point is, Q had a path forward planned and ready. Instead, we were blessed by a majority of the Senate evicting the never-Trumpers and gaining a secure majority, which will allow us to keep installing judges and moving things forward in various committees. Getting rid of those never-Trumpers was huge. These same criminals are now the ones trying to gaslight you into thinking that somehow Q must be wrong in all this, that he somehow doesn't know the real deal and has made some kind of fundamental miscalculation about this. Somehow he didn't finish that sentence. Guys, believe me, I understand. If you're disappointed by the loss of the House, I was upset too, but the plan moves forward regardless. I highly suggest you stay tuned and watch how things continue to play out. There will be surprises. Okay, I think I've made my point. Time to get to the new Q, starting off with the drops during the election. So he's going all the way back to 2437. And here we go. They want one thing, and that one thing is power. They will lie, cheat, and promise you to the world to obtain it. They do not love our country. They despise it. They want to destroy it. Show your love of country by voting today. Return power to the people. return old glory to her former state. We honor those who fought and continue to save and defend this great country. We will do our part. Will you do yours? Vote, vote, vote. Justice is coming, Q. Very grateful for everyone who voted and helped secure the Senate majority, says Neon Revolt. While you may still be feeling a bit of sting over the House, fret not. Remember what Q has been saying for months. This is 1745. We read through this again, about all the different FISA starts and FISA immediate conference of illegal acts. FISA is immediate confirmation of start of the Hussein spy campaign. And the big part of this they wanted to mention is FISA brings down the House. This is way back in July 28th, and emphasis in July 28th as well. So FISA brings down the House, right? And that is in 1745. FISA brings down the House. Now, ask yourself, why would Q want to bring down a Republican-controlled House if all those guys are now on Trump's side and helping him accomplish his agenda? Doesn't make sense, does it? No, you bring down your enemy's house, not your own. Guys, I've kind of misled you above when I said that it wouldn't have been great to retain the House. In truth, I don't believe that was ever part of Q's plan. Interesting, huh? Q always knew the Dems would get the House back. It's like judo. They use that to exhaust the Democratic resources. Think of the millions and millions Steyer and others spent on this election. And for what? Failed Gillum and Abrams campaigns? While gaining strategic ground, literally every candidate Trump stumped for won. It wasn't actually, there was one in West Virginia, I believe, that he didn't get. The guy who voted yes, actually, there. Paul Regal, thank you so much, buddy. Here we go. Literally every candidate Trump run except for West Virginia. And notice how many governors were in the mix. Why is that important? Because once FISA brings down the House, those reps will be booted from their seats, and guess who gets to appoint new reps? The governors. So now, it was interesting because yesterday when a person put an article up, it talked about it's a forced election. So whether it's an election or it's the governors, that's going to be interesting I need to go confirm that, because now I've got two different pieces of information. If you know the answer to that, let me know. So here's the anon that says FISA brings down the House. In the House, if the House went Republican, why would POTUS want to bring it down? The House had to go to the Democrats for FISA to bring it down. Because of Trump, we gain seats in the Senate. RBG will be gone soon, and we will get another justice on the Supreme Court. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. We will get more judges and justices without having to cater to Murkowski and Collins. Think about that. See, it was strategic trade here. It doesn't matter if the Dems get the House for now. They can't actually do anything with the House. Sure, it looks like a win for them on the surface, but it's possibly the worst thing that could happen to them. And here's Trump's tweet. We read this about that he's going to get him on the Senate if they attack in the House with investigations. It's a beautiful threat, and one which the Dems know will win and make good on, which brings me to the funniest tweet I read all day, courtesy of Quotus. Here's Trump's tweet where he says, in all fairness, Nancy Pelosi deserves to be the chosen Speaker of the House by the Democrats. If they give their hard time, perhaps we will add some Republican votes. She has earned this great honor. Isn't that funny? When I read this, I laughed out loud. This is too funny. And the thing is, he was totally serious. So how the Dems got to duke it out among themselves as to who will get to be the Speaker, discord hit someone among the Democrat ranks at the push of a button. It is beautiful to behold. The bonus in all of this is that the Senate appointments last for 6 years. So Trump has a loyal Senate majority through the end of his second term. Should he be reelected, which, come on, it's going to happen, folks. Here's 2348. Look at this little Q here. This was interesting. I missed this one when I reviewed it with you guys for some reason, and so that's why I wanted to make sure I emphasize this one, because it was actually a Twitter by Stacey Dash. And so Stacey Dash has long been red-pilled. Here she's saying bless, and she has this in the Matrix about a kid in Q. And then it says, and in the Matrix, getting a double shout out here. I've told you guys to give him a follow on Twitter or Gab. Make sure you do it. Q coming in with the Justice Department reminder. This was the Justice Department reminder here that talks about the voting. Make sure everybody take video, and if you see anything weird, let us know, because we're going to be coming down on those people. It says it's still super choppy. Darn it. So you can tell I've moved it up to 100% on my laptop. My sound is, so I'm going to go back to the advanced properties and even break this down to 60%. You guys will tell me if it's still too choppy. This usually does work when I do this on the fly. So I'm looking at it. It's still close to the red. So I'm going to pull the microphone away a little bit more. Let me know how that sound is, guys. Here we are. Here we go into which of the same number I told you to call previously. So that felt good. And so obviously this is the number to call if you see any voter fraud. People did that. Here's the violence, intimidation, scare tactics of Antifa. It says call this department number. But in all seriousness, I'm hearing a lot of rumblings from poll workers who said this election was likely nothing like they've ever seen before. One of the things that kept happening in 2 districts near my home, according to separate workers, were that people who had lived in the area for years and years and years suddenly weren't showing up on the books. And they kept having to turn people away because their names weren't showing up in the voter registry. Personally, over here, I think they cooked the books to exclude people and front-loaded the vote with early voter nonsense. This one district where over 14,000 early voters, one Democratic candidate, and that's something that has never happened before. Wow. Great job, says Chad Kowalski. Thank you, Chad Kosałkowski. I don't know if I said that right, but hey, and on top of that, you've got the dual Muslim things elected, one of which tweeted this out. Here's Israel was hypnotized. The world, may Allah awaken the people and get them to see the evil doings of Israel. So we got these anti-Israel, Allah, Sharia law people getting elected to Congress. So interesting stuff here. Muslim Brotherhood much? Yeah, I don't think that they'll be around very much longer, frankly. We'll see. But anyway, we've read through all these yesterday, so I'm not going to go over this, but this is the flag and all this stuff about we stand together, we stand united, we stand for our flag, we stand for what's good and right and compassionate, right? And here's Neon saying, I think Q knew right about this time that what we had what we needed. What we needed was the Senate, right, for confirmations of the Supreme Court justices, all the appellate judges, and also obviously his cabinet members, which are going to be key, like Trey Gowdy and Grassley going to different places probably, right? And here is just sun rising is when he was talking about this, but this was a cool post about the biblical scripture. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and heal their land. That's what we're praying, right? Is heal their land. This is really cool about having this with a little blue and red in there for the American flag. I think we, the people, have a lot to repent for. Repent not just for yourselves, but the sins of this nation too. And that is key. We have to repent for our abortion, right? Let the Bible come out of schools, all the things that we just weren't able to get done. I think this is really being a pain over here. But I tell you what, that is something that I think that's just real important, that we do the target-focused prayer, which includes repenting for ourselves and our nation. And we need to continue to do that because he's healing our nation right now. We're seeing it. Boy, I just hope he continues. Right? That's what we got to pray for. Nothing will stop what is coming. Safe to say, Q knew that things had gone the way they wanted. And so they wanted the Senate. That was the whole focus. That's if you look at everywhere he went in his 30 stops, and especially his 11 stops in the last 8 days or whatever that Trump did. It was a Senate strategy, right? And then this is just great. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I'm praying that one a lot for a lot of people in my life right now. And this is this kid got a QAnon hat, and what's cute is that is Neon Revolt's hat that he sells, right? So just FYI, so he's pretty excited at that. He says, hey, that hat looks very familiar. Now, where have I seen that before? Oh yeah, on Twitter. So it's his hat that he sells, so it was kind of cool. And so in all seriousness, guys, thank you so much for supporting him, etc. And I don't think Adrian will mind me posting this, but she actually reached out to me on Gab following her son getting featured by Q, right? So here he's talking to his mom, etc. Pretty cool, though. That's a big hat tip for. I know I've had some problems with Neon Revolt, but boy, this was his best one by far, I think. And so you'll see as we go through here. I was so glad to hear this. Every Moresso, because the boy loves the hat. That's the fantastic feeling. I hope he enjoys it for many years to come. Also, Q, I got a free hat for POTUS if he wants it. Heck, maybe I'll just send one over to the White House. And this was 2444 that was all about thank you, Patriots, etc., talking about how much important the Senate was, and now we have a pro-Senate. So this says, guys, I know many were upset when they read this, but shift your mindset. Mindset is so important. Our mindset determines our reality, and the whole purpose of the media is to demoralize and demonize you by attacking your mind. But my background's giving me a little fit here. But you have the ultimate authority over what thoughts you allow to enter your mind. Your mind is like a fortress. Your consciousness, the guards at the door. You get to choose what thoughts you let in and what thoughts you bar at the gate. That's partially why wave after wave of shills attacks on the research boards, on Vote, on Gab, everywhere QAnons are present and organizing. We viewed through that lens. You start to see how insidious it is. The shills aren't literally attempting to break in and ransack your mind. The only solution then is to fight them off with equal and opposite thoughts. And Trump himself said, tremendous success tonight, thanks to you all. Tremendous success, guys. It's okay if you're not feeling it right now. Some things take time, but also realize how much information warfare we've just experienced. It's okay to feel worn out after a major battle in the midterm elections. But don't let your enemy get to determine your reality. Go back to the beginning of the article. Remind yourself of why you are here and what we are trying to do here. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start to look at the road ahead, because we have stopped moving. We haven't stopped moving. We are progressing, only moving forward from here, getting into the drop itself. Anons give us a good line by line. So this goes into more detail over the same drop. I'm not going to get into that because of time. You can go look at it again, neonrevolt.com. Another Anon expresses it further and gives us a beautiful infographic posted afterwards. I read this all to you guys yesterday, but cool. What Neon Revolt does, he finds it's a perfect. We couldn't see this meme very well. And look at this memes he's got for us. This is an awesome meme. So copy this and put it onto your Twitter or on your Facebook or whatever other social media you have. This is an awesome one. It says Trump +4 2018 Senate midterms. That's +5 better than Reagan, 13 better than Clinton, 10 better than Obama. Right? So that's pretty cool. 55 senators. I'm not sure if we're going to get all those with the voter fraud going on right now. And then over to the right, it says FISA D-class brings down the House of Reps. 5'4" Scottish, about to be 6'3". 2019 budgets, all funded. 60,000 plus indictments. Huber, I think you probably saw that. It's over 61,000 actually. But here we have November 8th perspective. When Trump was elected, we thought we had a 51-seat GOP Senate majority. But we know now that No Name, Coker, and Flake were comped. So Trump really had a 48 GOP Senate minority for the past 2 years. And a leaky executive branch, a weaponized FBI, DOJ, a treasonous fake news media, and a comped House. Yet he was still able to win tax cuts, 2018-2019 military budgets, and 2 Scottish confirmations. Without these things, MAGA was over. Who's in control? Reconcile. and this is the November 6th perspective, right? When all midterm election results are certified, Trump will likely have about 55,000 GOP Senate seats. That's plus 4 from 51, but it's actually plus 7 in terms of reliable votes. Let's compare it to other presidents. Trump's true gain of plus 7 is remarkable achievement and easily outclassed Reagan, Clinton, and Obama for the first midterms. All three of them were reelected. Okay, and so here's a reference to the whole jurisdiction of the Senate Judiciary Committee and how powerful it is. About courts and constitutional amendments and federal courts and judges and cabinet members, etc. Right? And it says tribunals are still coming, folks. Nothing will stop them. And this is 2445, talking about moving from the House to the Senate and how much more important the Senate was. And then this is a cool graphic. This is another one you might want to copy and put on your Facebook and Twitter. It says Grassley activated. Isn't that cool? This got his activation. So now we're moving from the House to the Senate, and that's why Trey Gowdy and Goodlatte came out and resigned, because they're moving into cabinet positions or into like the Justice Department, etc. So who knows where they're going to go, but exciting stuff. 2446 was the Senate was the target. Coker plus Flake removed, and plus no name. He just didn't mention it here. How do you catch a fish? Now this is funny. Watch this one. This is another reason why I wanted to show you this. Mission forward. These people are stupid. How do you catch a fish? You're going to laugh when you read Anon's answer. Look at this. There's a rod and there's a bob. Who's Rod and Bob? That's Rod Rosenstein and Bob Mueller. So you catch a fish with a rod and a bob. And that's what I've been telling you for forever. So as you know, Neon Revolt and I are both on the same page here. We think Bob Mueller is at least a gray hat, right? Working with the white hats to bring down the black hats. And so was Rod Rosenstein. This is the Marine doing his mission, and this is Rod, and they're both trying to save their hides, basically. Rod and Bob, that's how you catch a fish. White House, how long have I been trying to say this? This is what both Neon and I have come to the conclusion of. I know a lot of people disagree with that, and I say, hey, great. If you didn't disagree with it, then it wouldn't be a very good sting operation, right? It wouldn't fool the deep state if it didn't. If everybody believed it. So here's Trump. It says there has only been 5 times in the past 105 years that an incumbent president has won seats in the Senate in the off-year election. Mr. Trump has magic about him. This guy has magic coming out of his ears. He is an astonishing vote getter and campaigner. The Republicans are unbelievable lucky to have him, and I'm just awed at how well they've done. It's all the Trump magic. Trump is the magic man. Incredible. He's got the entire media against him, attacking him every day, and he pulls out these enormous wins. And that was all a quote from Ben Stein, The Capitalist Code. Whew! We are very lucky. More than most people know. Don't worry. They'll know soon enough. Mission forward. And then this is the Trump's tweet, 2447. But this basically talking about, hey, the Senate's going to attack you if you attack us with the House. And it says, how long has Q been talking about the Dems leaked classified intel? Months now. That wasn't exactly public news, the source of these leaks. So to have POTUS confirming that, yes, the Dems are the source of the leaks and he knows it, well, I think we have to mark that down as another Q confirmation. So we knew about this because of Q, but now here he is in a public tweet saying we will likewise be forced to consider investigating them for all of the leaks of classified information and much else at the Senate level. So there's another Q confirmation for you right there, one of the thousands of things that all add up to this is truly Q is real, and he's got a Q clearance. He's working side by side with the president to take down the cabal. There's no way Feinstein will let Pelosi push forward with any kind of investigation. She sooner drive right over to her district, lock a couple of cement boots around Pelosi's bony, witchy ankles, and toss her off the end of Pier 39. So he's just joking around here, but the thing is that Feinstein leaked a lot of stuff, and she's going to be in trouble. So if she knows if Pelosi pushes too hard in the House, it's going to cause her problems. Q then responds to the conversation going between anons. So I'm going to give you some context first before posting this reply. And so these are two anons talking about this post here of 1825 about the blue wave all in and all that type of stuff. And it's rather long. I'm going to kind of skip this part because I didn't see it would be great value. You can see that at neonrevolt.com. But we saw Q basically talk about we are at war, think logical. Why was winning the House majority the primary goal for them? Because they had all the investigations going on. They wanted to end them. They didn't think through that they would just move the investigations over to the House, over into the Senate, and Grassley would take them all over. So that is an interesting, back and forth. And we read that yesterday, so I'm skipping that, but I just want to see what Neon's saying about it because he's got some interesting insights. He says, you're not going to get a nice timeline from Q. You're not going to get clean answers. You're going to have to think on your feet and hold on to hope. That's your role in this battle. Heck, I'm willing to bet the 2-year closer timeline Q gave in these drops is false too. How else to make the Dems relax a bit, but to tell them, oh, Judgment Day is 2 years off. Maybe them feel like they have more time than they actually have, and then blitz them. Right? When he talked about how 2 years for the House has been doing it now, that the Senate's going to close down the investigation in the next 2 years. Hopefully it'll happen a lot faster than that, right? And again, we saw this. This is 2450 with some of the clips in here. Again, we are going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see the light. So Neon says, hang in there, guys. We've got a ways to go and a lot to do still. That's my message to you guys. That's why I just love the way Neon's attitude toward this. This is exactly what I was feeling when I was reading this. I was going, yes, this would be perfect for my audience. So 07, Godspeed, men. Oh, and right about then, it came out that Sessions was resigning at the request of the president. So we knew that the Daily Beast was, Attorney General Jeff Sessions out after a year of threats from the President Trump. I'll admit, I wasn't expecting that right after the midterms. And it took me a moment to full understand why that had to occur. But man, oh man, things are not looking too good for the cabal as a result. Thank you for your service to our country, Mr. Jeff Sessions. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten. Q+, which is Trump, right? Anon had this to say to those shocked by this development, of which I admit I was one. But for a moment. So here it goes, says, we are flooded by shills and uninformed anons who obviously did not read all of the crumbs. Start from the beginning if you haven't. For the real anons, we see that Sessions has written a letter of resignation at the request of POTUS. Sessions did his job. Sessions has gathered more details, info, evidence. Sessions did not leak, did not break. Sessions did his job and is leaving because we are coming to the next stage. Buckle up. Feeling good because I'm hungry for some action. Here's Sessions' resignation letter. If you read it, just very well written and proud of a bunch of accomplishments he did. And I think he's going to go down as a true patriot and a hero after this when we go back and see all the indictments. These are 61,000 indictments that we have out there. Again, they're not all indictments. Some of them are search warrants. Some of them have probably been unreleased, about 10% of them. So it's probably not the full 61,000. But again, some of those will have 2 names per indictment, like the Keith Reiner and Allison Mack one did, okay? And so there's a lot of arguments people tell me it's been debunked. It has not been debunked. They said, oh yeah, it could be, parking tickets are not sealed, guys. You only seal things that are part of a criminal enterprise, and or if you're trying to keep somebody secret that you're going to go arrest, right? You're going to put out a sealed indictment for a short period of time and then you unseal it right away. But the ones that stay sealed are the ones that of these volumes are just unheard of. And so people trying to tell me that's a myth and it's been debunked are just false. And I've already read through several of them that just use bad logic, trying to tell me that there's speeding tickets in the sealed indictments. I'm sorry, they're not. So anyway, no, it's undated, implying that this was already waiting for the go signal. So you'll see that this was not dated, the resignation, which in my mind underscores that this is what Q's It's always meant when he said activate Sessions. Activating him meant having him to step down. Why? Because if you haven't heard by now, who takes over gets put in charge of Mueller special counsel investigation. In short, and this is a little video here that's just 25 seconds.
Anybody up here, anybody at all that can deal with this other than me?
Well, there is the emergency disaster mode for the org chart. This gives me full authority over every single person in the office.
I never said you could
All
do
you have
that.
to do is say it. Just say it.
So a cute little video there, but this is Matthew Whitaker. This guy's big, and this is what this guy looks like. Look how huge he is. Hand off confirmed. It's another great meme if you want to take a screenshot of that right there and put that on your Twitter and Facebook, right? Or Minds, M-I-N-D-S, which is the Patriot replacement for Facebook that I've been telling you guys to go to, or Gab, the replacement for Twitter. I'm officially dubbing him Mr. Clean, or maybe I should call him Mr. Clean and Press. Look at this guy. Huge. That's a powerful powerlifting joke for those who may not be in the loop. Look at this guy. This Mr. Matthew Whitaker is a big, strong man. If the bar is bending, you ain't pretending. What is that? Those plates look like 55s. You got 4 of them, plus the 10s on the end. The bar is 45 pounds itself. Dude, looks like he just cleaned 285 pounds, folks, to even more so, and looks like he's getting ready to press it overhead. Soon after Mr. Clean steps into his new role, rumblings of Rod Rosenstein's resignation started bubbling up. We heard this, right? Source tell me Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein will be offering his resignation in the next 48 hours. That'll be interesting if that happens. And I have to take some credit here because for the longest time I've been saying Trump would never fire RR and that Rod Rosenstein had to resign so POTUS could keep his hands clean and look as apolitical as he possibly could. Needless to say, Di-Fi Chi-Spy wasn't pleased with this sudden development at all, and everybody's freaking out. The president has made abundantly clear that he'll take any action he can to undermine the Mueller investigation, which is so funny because everybody knows it's undermined already anyway, right? It's like, there's no, I mean, it's not, I'm not undermined already, I mean, it just has no evidence. So it's like it's a waste of taxpayer money. No one who lacks Senate confirmation should be placed in charge of this investigation, especially Matthew Whitaker, who publicly criticized Mueller's work last year. And it talks about how he's just basically telling the truth about the Mueller investigation. And if anybody needed to recuse himself, it was Rod Rosenstein. Obviously, he's the one who wrote the letter to fire Comey, and then there was investigations about Comey being fired. It's like that's part of what the investigation was about. He should have recused himself, if anybody, but not anybody else. And they don't have to. He had the constitutional authority to do this. Trump did, and they're just crazy. So sorry, Dams. Looks like your insurance policy just ran out. Here, this is funny. This is 3/2/17. Here's Nancy Pelosi about Jeff Sessions. So this is March of 2017. We are far past recusal. Jeff Sessions lied under oath. Anything less than resignation or removal from the office is unacceptable. That's Nancy Pelosi. Now here she is yesterday. It is impossible to read Attorney Jeff Sessions' firing as anything other than another blatant attempt by Donald Trump to undermine and end Special Counsel Mueller's investigation. So he should be fired. You can't fire him. They just look so silly when you put side by sides. Amazing how it only took 20 months for it to expire. And no, you won't be able to renew it. But wait, it gets even better. Matthew Whitaker, enough evidence to have a special prosecutor investigate the Clinton Foundation. Woo! Oh yeah, baby. He says, and then we have the 2435 that talks about the Senate was the key. Enjoy the show. I read this to you yesterday, so I'm going to kind of skip through that in the interest of time. Donald J. Trump talks about Attorney General Jeff Sessions for his service. So this is one of the proofs, because Q just an hour before talked about we thank you for your service, and here's Donald Trump tweeting it an hour later. No coincidence. Q, board under attack, and here he says, I can testify to the massive shilling DDoS attempts and other various assorted nonsense across the board today and across Gab as well. Speaking of Gab, the Pennsylvania AG has been throwing a lot of nonsense their way. Seriously, this kind of behavior is inexcusable. This is crazy. Look at this. Pennsylvania Attorney General subpoenas Epic, owner of Gab.com, domain name. So they tell you, Twitter wants their dominance. They want to have everybody have to use that platform. This competitor's been, you can't even download it in the Apple Store because of the Silicon Valley criminals disallowed it, and now you have the Pennsylvania Attorney General after Gab here. So it's just crazy what's going on. Top Senate Democrat Schumer should recuse himself from the Russia probe. They're just panic in D.C. So those 3 movies, here we are. So the way he reads this is that we've been getting fast FISA gate as Spygate as the whole movie 1, and now movie 2 started yesterday. Panic in D.C. in theaters now, right? So, and then the 3rd movie we're going to get later is going to be about pedophilia, Guardians of the Pedophiles. So now we know the 3 movies titles: FISA-gate, Panic in D.C., and Guardians of the Pedophiles. And we've already been playing this one. And when you get to D-Class, it's really gonna boom, hit Panic in D.C. So that's what we know. Movie number 2 has now begun. And there's this Ezra Cohen Watnick, and he didn't really know what this is. Neither did I. I was asking you guys. He says, now this, I don't understand. It's really out of the blue as far as I can tell. Anna's didn't seem to get much of this post either. We've dug on one before, so feel free to review the post and digs if you want. But I currently don't see how this relates to the other drops. So fun fact today, the anniversary of the Red October, November 7th, the actual anniversary of Red October. Red line, in this instance, it's a reference to Eric Holder's tweet. We'll see in the next drop. And there it is. Eric Holder was all worried about, this is a red line. Basically, you're trying to obstruct Mueller by just firing Sessions, which we wanted him fired earlier. Almost immediately following Sessions' resignation, this site popped up online, organizing hundreds of pro-Mueller rallies around the nation. So you probably saw some of these criminals out. These Antifa people out there. They were in front of Tucker Carlson's house, tried to break down the door, were threatened, had a bullhorn threats if his wife was in there alone, just uncalled for. Mueller finding rapid response search. Donald Trump has just crossed a red line, violating the independence of investigation, pursuing criminal charges in the Trump-Russia scandal and cover-up. Trump's putting himself above the law and is a threat to our democracy, and we've got to get Congress to stop him. We're mobilizing immediately to demand accountability because Trump is not above the law. That's the talking point, the 4 a.m. talking point, right? And they now got out to Antifa. And MSNBC, unsurprisingly, took up the rally cry. Here's Rachel Maddow, sad. Apparently 900, just showing how much she's just a 4 a.m. talking point puppet of the deep state. Apparently 900 plus Protect Mueller events and protests planned for tomorrow's already. Here's a list state by state, and she gives a list for actually going and joining these protests. So anyway, I like what he says here, though. This is Neon basically saying, look what they're really doing here. The rallying cry will now be constitutional crisis, which frankly is a meaningless term to the left. Trump is well within his constitutional rights here. He hasn't violated any law, but that won't matter to the left. To them, constitutional crisis basically means orange man do this thing. I no like. I burn trash. Can now. Bash fash. Bash fash. Bash fascist. I thought that was funny. And after this, Anons noticed Antifa gathered around Tucker Carlson home. Breaking Antifa mob currently outside home of Tucker Carlson. Turns out they had doxed him and a bunch of other conservatives online. And they put it on Twitter and then deleted it. And then some coded calls for violence started making more sense, specifically the activation phrase C to signing C, which is now this activation phrase to these Antifa people. Anons noticed the message sent out. And here's Nancy Pelosi doing the C to signing C thing. So this now they're taking our little term of C to shining C and actually using it to activate their 900 riots, right? And spread across various accounts. And so you can see here's another one that talks about it as well. And another one here with James Robertson. But recall, all the way back to drop 395 in December of last year, they knew the C designing C was an operation. So Q knew about it December 19th, about what they just activated, the deep state just activated. That is crazy stuff if you really think about it. Definitely starting to put some more pieces of the puzzle together here. And if to compound matters, yet another mass shooting occurred this evening. You probably saw that. That was terrible. 11 kids got killed. I think Pepperdine University in a bar near there. And the first policeman there got shot as well. And just sad to see that type of activity going down, which most likely, I think we'll find out hopefully one day, that was most likely a CIA-operated MK Ultra thing. That's the way most of these are. It doesn't have to be. There could be some coincidence there, but most likely these tragic, simply tragic things are. That's why we had to get the criminals out of our government, guys. They're always going to try to be taking away our guns, and there's a rallying cry for the guns, and there's always an AR-15, right? So pray for peace. But we are not taking this lying down, and neither is Q. His message in response to these increased attacks could not be clearer. That's why he put in 2460 about the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when a case of rebellion or invasion and the public safely may require it. Basically saying martial law, dudes. Martial law is going to happen if you keep this up. Brush up on your history with Q's wiki links here about martial law, and he gave us. And like a cherry on top of a sundae, Anna noticed a connection between the number of the post PF435 and the amount of members in the House, and how it relates to the start of this new movie, Panic in DC. This was interesting. So we saw this post here, but did you notice that this 11/7 post was, it said number 435 on, this is in the Patriot Fight Board, I believe, number of members in the House, and it's talking about the start of what? The start of how many members in the House? 465. What was the start? Panic in DC, because he's talking about the privilege of he's talking about martial law. Okay, FICE is going to bring down the House. Interesting there, huh? Guys, things are heating up fast, so shake off any residual disappointment and get back in the arena. There's so much happening and so much more yet to do, and it's kind of ironic when you think about it. It all goes back to the very first QAnon post. The one the Q haters love to quote and misquote is having and as having never come to pass. So the first post talks about Hillary being arrested, right, as a piece of misinformation to see their hand and see where she would go, see what she would do. And here's the stuff that it says: expect massive riots organized in defiance of others fleeing the U.S. to occur. So we've been expecting this for quite some time, all the way from post number 1 on October 28th of 2017. Someone should have told them to be careful what they wished for. All right, so that is the Neon Revolt post. I thought it was really awesomely done, and I'm just so happy to see his attitude being completely where I think we all need to be. And it's very encouraging to see that. Here is, listen to this. This is why I'm so proud of Trump. Listen to him take on this reporter.
Center with PBS NewsHour. On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying that the
That's such a racist
There are
question.
some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? Why do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans? I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
And Mr. President,
I love it. You know what the word is? I love our country. I do. You have nationalists, you have globalists. I also love the world. And I don't mind helping the world, but we have to straighten out our country first. We have a lot of problems.
And Ms.
Excuse me. But to say that, what you said, is so insulting to me. It's a very terrible thing that you said.
And Ms.
That's how you handle the press. That is how you handle the press. That is for sure. And so he just has so many accomplishments. Again, if you ever want to show somebody the accomplishments, you go to magapill.com, MAGA pill.com, and you'll see hundreds of of accomplishments, and that's why I'm proud to have the sponsor as well of the Trump coin, right? So if you guys really want a good Christmas present or just something that's cool, we have a bunch of these right now. It's this 2020 coin. It's literally 45th President of the United States on the front of it. On the back, it's got this cool things about delivering as promised. And it's got these 4 major things here. It talks about the first major Trump tax return in 30 years, unemployment rate in the lowest in 18 years, job claims lowest since 1973, and the Dow joins the highest in history. And I've got this right here. That's really an awesome coin. It's actually in this protective case so that it doesn't get all your oils from your finger on it. So basically it preserves it perfectly for you. And so anyway, we got a bunch of these for Christmas presents as well. You can go and get, these are like $35 a piece, but you can get free shipping if you buy 3 or more, if you use the term blessed in the coupon code. All right, look at this, voter fraud all over the place. We're going a little bit long here, guys, today, just again because I wanted to go over that neon revolt thing. Voter fraud is in display. I pray the authorities are letting the criminals hang themselves. So there's a lot of this that potentially could be going on, and there's actually a lawsuit. Look at this. Rubio sounds alarm. Broward County election officials trying to seal election produced thousands of ballots 43 hours after the polls closed. And supposedly some teacher found a whole bunch of ballots in Broward County that hadn't been counted yet. Surprise, surprise. Right, and here is, see those 2 blue bins up front? Right here, talking about these, and those are the uncounted ballots of Broward County. Of course, it's Broward County, right? Because that's where they control everything. The cabal controls everything. That's why they had the Parkland shooting there, and that's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the Allman Brothers dramas there. That's where the cabal controls everything. That's why they could very likely take this Senate seat away from Scott. Here's breaking: Florida Governor Rick Scott announced lawsuit against Broward Palm Beach supervisor of elections. Every Floridian should be concerned there may be rampant fraud, because that's exactly what's happening right now before our eyes. I just pray that they get caught, guys. We need to be praying for that. Here's why there's still no votes left to count in Arizona, and it goes over in Arizona. There's funky stuff going on as well. They think there's 650,000 ballots still not even counted in Arizona. So that is just wild stuff. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I believe the election had a sting going on in the background. I say within the next few days, we will see. I sure hope so. Wouldn't that be awesome? Of course, we thought that also at previous times. It didn't come to fruition. Maybe we just have to be so patient here, right? Just trust the plan and be patient. Expose citizens see ballots being transported on a private vehicle and transferred to a rented truck. So you can actually go see this video. This girl took again, I think this is in Broward County again. And I'm not going to play that because it's a whole 2 minutes long, but this gal got on tape then just, one person taking the supposed votes in their car. Now, another interesting thing, this is what I titled this episode, Breaking: Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospitalized, 85-year-old justice broke 3 ribs. But what's more wild about this is this, the Q clock. So somebody put this together, and I guess on dropped 7/27 back on February 11th, he just said Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And on the clock, the opposite is today, which is 11/8. And sure enough, Justice Ginsburg hospitalized after fracturing ribs in the fall. So, wow. Could this, the same thing that happened, the same fate to John McCain happen to Ruth Bader Ginsburg? That would be wild. I'm not betting on that, but this just kind of freaked me out when I saw this. I saw a lot of posts and discussion of this. I didn't think that, but now this made me think second thoughts. It's like, whoa, because I didn't think he had predicted much about this like he did with McCain. Acting AG Matthew Whitaker will not recuse himself from the Russia probe and won't approve Democrat subpoenas of President Trump. There's some aides that have been talking about that, so I think that's pretty good confirmation. DOJ and DHS issue new asylum rule. Love Whitaker already. Boom. So you can click on here and actually see this new, basically coming down on the whole caravan, and they're not going to get asylum nearly as easily. Las Vegas massacre for survivors were in the California bar during the shooting. Now, what are the odds of that? That literally some people were part of the Las Vegas shooting and also this massacre that happened last night. Wow. Dear POTUS, after watching yesterday's press briefing several times, I noticed, great job yesterday. Just basically talking about how he handled the press. He was awesome, right? And here's Judical Watch doing a great job. Now they're going after Awan brother stuff, so they don't get away with all that type of stuff. We talked about Tucker Carlson and that mob. They actually broke part of his door or cracked part of his door trying to push into it. So again, you can catch all these notes on my Blessed to Teach website. And that's the only place I have my show notes now. So because I do podcasts as well, right? These same videos go to podcast. Blessed to Teach with the number 2.com. And you want to go here if you want to see exactly when my notes come out. Like I didn't get them out till tonight for yesterday's. And you want to get on the email list, and you'll know exactly when they come out. And you'll have a link to easily get to those show notes of that days. And I am now on Google Plus Play as well as all these platforms, Stitcher, Google Play, you can see right here, as well as Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. If you want lower bandwidth and be able to just do audio only. Here you can get lower bandwidth audio and video as well, besides YouTube. And so anyway, this is where you can get all the videos, all the show notes, as well as links to books I'm reading, as well as links to my suppliers and my backup sites like BitChute and Real Video. So join me on blessed2teach2.com. Let's talk a little bit about prophecy real quick, and then we'll pray and end this. I did want to let you guys know that Water with Rick is where you can get this great filter. You can fill up water bottles that you've emptied and save a lot of money. This is 5,000 gallons of clean water. Tap water goes here. 3 or 4 hours later, it's clean water. It takes out heavy metals, fluoride, chlorine, viruses and bacteria, pesticides and pharmaceuticals. This is one of the best filters I've ever had by far. It's $100 off this puppy. And again, you only can live 3 days without water. And if they poison the water for any reason, that's one of their tactics to get our guns. And this is a perfect solution to protect you from that. And just have cleaner, healthier water and not spend so much money on bottled water. So great thing. That's waterwithrick.com. And then Prepare with Rick was the survival food. Preparewithrick.com for the survival food. And again, Water with Rick for the other stuff. Now, prophecy. I wanted to show you somebody sent me this. Let's see if I can get to it. This is Elijah List, a response to Charlie Schamp's, what I consider a false prophecy. They do not. He basically says text conversations. He basically says right here something I don't agree with. And I just running out of time, so I don't want to spend too much time on here. But it basically says that if they give a false prophecy, doesn't mean they're a false prophet. And I have to beg to differ with that. So I have a real problem with this, guys. I have to have integrity here in being able to test the prophets. And if I'm testing the prophets, I'm testing the prophets, right? And I can't give people leeway. But there's a big difference between what Charlie Shamp did and what Mark Taylor did. That's what I want to point out. Here's Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22. And this says, but if a prophet who presumes to speak in my name, this is key. They're speaking in God's name, not in their name. It's not their opinion, it's God's name. Anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, is to be put to death. It was pretty clear. Now, that's Old Testament. We're not supposed to do that now. But I think the test still works. This is the test I think works. You may say to yourselves, how can we know when a message has not been spoken by the Lord? If what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. That prophet has spoken presumptuously, so do not be alarmed. They're a false prophet. So my opinion really is that Charlie Shamp, who had some very encouraging prophecy here, but he got extremely detailed, saying that there was going to be a wave of conservatives elected to the midterm elections in November. They will carry the House and the Senate. And it literally says that in the Senate will win 9 seats. Okay, so that is a false prophecy, guys. That's just, and you can't really get around that anyway. I've read that multiple times. You really just cannot get around that. And so even though Elijah is basically saying that as a reader of Elijah List, please do do understand that when a respected prophet, as Charlie Shamp is, gets a wrong word, that does not make him a false prophet. A miss is a miss, that's all. I disagree with that completely. I guess there is some basis to not be judging people on the Old Testament, and it's a New Testament is different. But to me, I'm just not going to be reading Charlie Shamp anymore. So you guys can disagree with me, and feel free to disagree. But I also wanted to move to Mark Taylor a little bit, because Mark Taylor did say verbally that he thought there was going to be a red tsunami. But his prophecies, and he's told everybody that, is on swordrescue.com, right? So let me go back to here. Is swordrescue.com, right? And he documents all his prophecies. What he says is from the Lord, and it's not him. And he'll misinterpret this. In fact, his very first prophecy, he said in the Commander-in-Chief in 2011, he thought Trump was going to run in 2012. And so he misinterpreted his own prophecy. That can happen, right? I agree with you on this, says Jesse. So his prophecies are written down here that you can go see on swordrescue.com, and you can pull up every one of these. His last one was right here, all roads leading to road on one. He hasn't prophesied anything officially since January. Okay, this is his latest prophecy. So he does not write down anywhere, thus says the Lord. The Lord says there's going to be a red tsunami. He did not say that. So Mark Taylor, I've been testing him for 2+ years. He's right on the mark, in my opinion. It's Charlie Shamp, I can't say the same for. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for this opportunity to have this platform and all these awesome people that over 2,000 people on today is just amazing. And thank you for Neon Revolt for just seems to come around. He had some rough periods there where I just thought he was teaching incorrect things, but man, he seems to be on fire and really teaching truth and going into depth and really doing a lot of detailed work that somebody like me that works full time doesn't have the time to do. It's really digging into all the Anon's comments, pulling them all together for us. So I just want to give a shout out for Neon Revolt. Lord, thank you for allowing people like that to have the time to give us information so that we can disseminate it so much faster. Lord, you know my heart. I'm just really getting excited about serving you in a way to help others get plugged in with other believers that have passion and giftedness in a certain area and start taking back our country in all these areas. Taking back our country in the Senate and the House once the arrests come through, right? So there's going to be all kinds of openings, and that's at not only at the state level but the local level. Not only at the federal level but the state level and the local level. How exciting will that be? And cleaning up our government levels, cleaning up our police departments, cleaning up our just all these provinces, cleaning up our ministries, cleaning up our churches. All the people in these clergy response teams and these corrupt people like the black caucuses in the Senate, etc., and the same many of the black and pastors are being paid off to lie to their people, and just the clergy response team of all colors and religions lying to their people. Lord, please expose them. And Lord, I'm so excited about being able to infuse new, talented people, patriots that love the Lord, to actually go back and take Hollywood in arts and entertainment, and go take back Silicon Valley with blockchain type technologies and overrunning these cabal-oriented Googles and Apples of the world, and the Twitters and Facebooks of the world, Lord. How exciting would it be to go back there and take back our country in Wall Street? Lord, I just ask that no matter what somebody's passion is, that they really think about how God might use them in a new way as a patriot to go back and take our country back for righteousness. Oh, wow, this is going to be fun to be able to watch these 3 movies play out, the cabal arrests happen, and justice to be served. But then we still have a lot of work to make sure our culture is taken back from righteousness. Lord, we look so forward to joining you in that journey. We say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys, thank you so much for holding on to me a little bit longer these last 2 nights, as I skip one night and it's hard to catch up, and just so much good material. I decided I'm going to err on comprehensiveness versus just trying to just do an hour show that's fun and entertaining. I'm just going to try to get you guys what I think you would want to know. I was wrong about November 7th being Judgment Day. Sorry, but November 7th was a significant to the Bolshevik revolution ending, says Damien. Thank you, Damien, for it's always cool when people admit their mistakes and correct things. I appreciate that. I'm depressed that Red Tsunami didn't happen, but I remember the judgment begins in the house of the Lord. Well, the Never-Trumpers retired, lost. Now the GOP has a clean house that's ready for new guests. Yep. Paterna, 1959. Very intelligent comment, because I think not only do we have a much more loyal Senate, the Republicans we do have in the House are much better. And even the Democrats that were moderate that were able to win, if once we cut off the cabal and all the control and the blackmailing, a lot of them are going to come around to be voting better, right? They're not all criminals there. Some of them are controlled, and some of them are just downright, they're much more moderate. Someone has asked from C to signing C with the post was, so the C to signing C was a activation code of those 900 riots that are supposed to be going on, or 900, I guess, Antifa-oriented and Move.org oriented, revolting against Sessions leaving, right? Because they know that Robert Mueller is their security blanket, right? And that goes away. They're in big trouble. False prophets know they are prophesying falsely. I think you're probably right, although I know sometimes I think that a demon can be over somebody that's evil. I was just thinking of, I'm not going to mention other religions right now, but I think there's a lot of people may have thought they were getting truth, and Satan just threw them for loops. They probably weren't. I think that only happens if they're not true believers. So, blessed teach. What is Q saying will happen on November 11th? I just think he's talking about the world's going to unite because he's going to be with Putin, and that he's going to have Putin and China aligned to take down the cabal worldwide. So I think it's going to be an alignment of the three major powers aligning against the cabal. That's my biggest guess right now. Prayers for Kathy and Roy. Yes, Larry. Darn it. We have to continue to pray for Kathy and Roy's health. Rick, now you are looking, your sound is screwed up. Static. Yeah, okay, yeah. So I went from 40% on internally to my computer to all the way to 100%, and I turned this down. So I obviously need to do some tuning. I'll bring this back down to like 80, and I'll get it to not be distorted going forward. But at least I found why it was so low. It was really frustrating there for a while. Let's find out if the governor picks a new House members. Yeah, I need to figure that out well too, because that yesterday that said it was an election. So once these arrests happen and cleans out a bunch of positions that are open, how are those getting refilled? Is it the governor or is it elections? So I think it might be temporary people come in for the governor, but then there has to be elections within a certain period of time. But I'll try to get finalization on that. If anybody knows that, let me know. And some person said, thanks for deleting that, whoever caught that. Blessed teach, buy an audio compressor. It will stabilize your sound. Yeah, I had it perfect though. So with this thing, with a new computer, and yeah, but we'll see. I'll see what a compressor needs to do. You guys are now letting me do sponsors. I do appreciate you guys. Are beautiful. All the sponsors all re-upped because you guys are obviously supporting my sponsors. So thank you so much. So I'm starting to get some funds in here to where I can expand into these other platforms and buy the proper equipment. So I'll look into, I don't even know what an audio compressor is. So even though I'm a technical guy when it comes to consulting, it's not from a hardware perspective. So anybody has any more detail on that, send me an email or let me know. But why do people know what November 11 is? It's Armistice Day. Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. Red October, right? Don't feel bad. Guess who stole California year after year? Yeah, no question about that. Jesus is Lord. I hear you. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up there. You guys have an awesome night. We'll hopefully catch you tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get some Q posts and see some more of the movie of Panic in D.C. Here we are on the Blessed to Teach show. We're talking about Ruth Ginsberg. Could she be no-named? Is she another target of the takedown? Who knows? This is we just went through a great Neon Revolt Decode. This is a Blessed to Teach show on November 8th. We'll see you guys next time. God bless.